Hello everyone, I am Ankush Chirimar and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to discuss Essay 200, Essay 210, Essay 230, three standards we are going to cover in this particular 100% detailed revision video. Till now what we have done is, till now we have already completed your SQC1 and Essay 220, that is chapter number 1 from your ICI module, and we have already completed the chapter number 9, the biggest chapter of CA final, that is professional ethics. Two revision videos are already uploaded in 100% English. The detailed revision videos playlist link will be provided in your pinned comment section. You can definitely access from there. And today we are going to cover your Essay 200, 210 and 230. For these three standards, ICI says that these standards were already discussed at intermediate level. Thus, application part of above essays may be discussed in the form of case study at CA final. So what I have done is, I have referred these three standards from your inter syllabus. I have picked out those topics which can be asked in the application part, and I have included those topics in my concept book that is of 160 pages. This is my concept book. I have included everything that is relevant from CA final perspective. Trust me, you don't have to do anything beyond these topics which I am going to cover in this particular revision video. Okay, yes sir. First of all, like this video so that you mark your attendance, and secondly, comment down with CA with your name so that you make a manifestation to God that you are definitely going to clear your CA final exams in your attempt. Before starting, let me tell you about all our resources at Ankush Chirimar classes. What do we provide to you? First of all, in terms of batch, we have an exam oriented batch of 45 to 50 hours in which we are going to cover 100% concepts and 100% questions both. This is a fast paced batch. Obviously we will be soon launching your regular batch as well of 80 to 90 hours. Okay, yes sir. Next, we have in terms of books, we have concept book. This is a concept book which is of just 160 pages. Yes, you read that right, just 160 pages. 100% relevant portion of CA final audit is covered. In the past, all the attempts of new course, at least 110 marks coverage out of 118 marks was from this concept book. All the keywords are highlighted, everything is color coded, and this is just compact, just like a magazine. Then we have your question bank. A question bank has two parts, part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is all the interpretation and analytical questions which you have to apply your mind and you have to think all the tricky questions, and in part 2 all the direct questions are there which you can understand from the last line of the question. If you don't have time, then you can directly skip the part 2 and just do the part 1 of the question bank. Question bank, just let me show you the question bank as well. The question bank is also color coded. Yes, the question bank is color coded, and even we have highlighted the questions as well, the important part of the questions as well, and the answers we have highlighted the keywords so that in the 1.5 days you can quickly revise the questions and the answers both, and these highlightings will be provided in your printed book also. Okay, yes sir, this is a unique thing about our question bank which I have already amended. And about the handwritten notes, these are our handwritten notes from which we will definitely study with in our revision videos, and these handwritten notes are uploaded on our Telegram channel. Please join our YouTube channel, please subscribe to this YouTube channel and join our Telegram channel, because there are many resources which are going to be provided for CA final audit. So if you join these channels, you will definitely get a lot of benefit in your CA final audit preparations. And obviously 100% detailed revision videos are uploaded. You can check the playlist from the comment section down. We have a test series for all the subjects of CA final. We have launched a test series. Then the test series, I must tell you, we have two types of test series. Cumulative, first is cumulative. For all subjects there will be 30%, then there will be 70% test including this 30%, and then there will be 100% test, so that you get a cumulative revision effect. And secondly, we have full syllabus test series as well, and there are a lot of AIRs, all India ranks, from our test series only. So first of all, I just request you, please look at our sample evaluated sheet that is uploaded on the website. You will get to know the quality of the test series, quality of the checking that we are providing. Then we have one-on-one mentorship program for you. If you want a person who is your friend, come guide, come mentor, who will support you till your exams in your strategy, planner, guidance, motivation, discipline and everything, then we have a one-on-one mentorship program for you. We have already cleared 25 plus students in September 25 attempt, and the result of January 26 is going to be master blaster. You can see on our Telegram channel as well. Okay, yes sir. And after your exams, for everything related to resume, LinkedIn and your interview, we have a career navigator program. So we are Ankush Chirimar classes with your CA students life and after your CA life as well. And with this, after your CA results are, after you become a chartered accountant, we are going to celebrate, we are going to felicitate you in our felicitation fiesta event as well. So yes, we are Ankush Chirimar classes, and your audit is my responsibility. You can definitely blindly trust on all the resources. This is generated, or these are resources are provided after testing them in 3 attempts of CA final audit previously with the Hindi students. Okay, yes sir. So yes, do share this video with your friends as well. Definitely I will request you to share this with your friends and subscribe to this channel, because more and more resources are going to come for you. Yes, so let's start with our SA 200. SA 200, as the name say, 200 to 00. So here we have 0000. OO is basically what? Overall objectives of independent auditor and conduct of audit in accordance with essays. This essay talks about the objectives of my objectives as an auditor. So objectives we have already discussed, but let me again tell you what are the objectives as an auditor. My objective is to obtain reasonable assurance about what? That the financial statement doesn't contain material misstatement, which means that the financial statements are prepared as per AFRF, and if it is correct, then I have to issue a report as well. I don't have to keep the opinion with myself. I will have to tell the users of the financial statement what is my opinion, and that opinion is told in auditor's report. So I have to make a report as per essays also. And why it is done, sir? So that the confidence of users in the financial statement is increased. Okay, yes sir. Let's revise from our concept book. This is revision under revision. So SA 200, we are talking about SA 200, overall objectives of independent auditor and conduct of audit in accordance with essays. What is the objective, sir? Our objective is to obtain reasonable assurance that whether the financial statements are free from material misstatement, and so that we can express our opinion that financial statements are prepared as per AFRF, and to report this opinion as per essays, so that we can enhance the degree of confidence, the level of confidence of users in the financial statement. Okay, yes sir. Another important topic is inherent limitations of audit, and in your concept book, wherever there is any technical word, technical jargon, we have already given your simple English language meaning for that. Suppose inherent, what is the meaning of inherent? Permanent. So we know what all pain points you have, so that you don't have to check dictionary again and again. So we have included inherent permanent limitations of audit. Now, due to this inherent or permanent limitation of audit, the auditor can only give absolute assurance. We cannot give reasonable assurance. We cannot give absolute assurance. We can only give reasonable assurance, and reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance. Okay, yes sir. Now, what are the inherent limitations of audit? First of all, there is a limitation in the financial reporting process itself. The nature of financial reporting, like in the financial reporting, there is a management judgments. The judgments involve uncertainty. Secondly, the financial statements are prepared on the basis of internal controls, and in the internal controls have their own limitations. So there is a limitation that the financial reporting is not correct. Secondly, due to timeliness of financial reporting and balance between benefit and cost, as the relevance of information or the importance of information decreases over time, we need to maintain a balance between the cost and benefit. We cannot just increase the benefit and increase the cost as well. We will need to maintain a balance. That is a limitation. Third is our audit procedures. The nature of audit procedures itself has own limitation. Like there are practical and legal limitations due to audit. What is a practical limitation? I cannot test all the transaction. I will have to do sampling. What is the legal limitation? If the management does not provide me complete information, I cannot force management to provide me information. Okay, I am just tying the rope on the hands of the management and then saying me provide me information, or becoming a daya of CID and just banging the door and taking all the information. I cannot do that. I don't have that specific legal powers. Okay, those specific legal powers are provided in investigation, not in audit. Okay, this is the limitation that I have in audit. Okay, yes sir. Next, the fourth limitation is future events. If I say financial statements are prepared on the basis of going concern, and going concern is correct, and after a few days a major fire broke out in only the one factory of the company, has one factory, and there is a major fire in the factory, that means the company is gone. So now I am not an astrologer to predict all these future events, that yes, there will be fire and everything. So yes, future events, if there is any adverse uncertain events, then there is a limitation on audit. And lastly, audit is not an investigation. Why is it so, sir? Why is it said so that it is a limitation? Because investigation scope is narrow, and investigation has a specific legal powers, while auditor doesn't have any specific legal power. Okay, yes sir. But mind you, even if there are inherent limitations of audit, this cannot be a justification for you to obtain less than persuasive audit evidence. You have to obtain persuasive audit evidence. You will have to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence even when there are inherent limitations of audit. Okay, yes sir. Suppose you obtain everything. Suppose you obtain all the evidences. You found that internal control is satisfactory, and you didn't find any circumstances, and that's why you said that the internal controls are reasonable assurance. Internal controls are good and working. But after that, if any fraud is found, then you will not be responsible for that particular fraud, since you have obtained the persuasive evidence. Okay, yes sir. Keep that in mind. Now let's discuss from our concept book, revision under revision. So what does it say, sir? Inherent or permanent limitation of audit. It says that the auditor cannot obtain absolute assurance because of this inherent limitation of audit, and Mind you, this inherent limitation is not a justification for auditor to be satisfied with less than persuasive audit evidence. Persuasive means convincing audit evidence. Okay, yes sir. What are the inherent limitation? First of all, nature of financial reporting, that financial reporting, financial statements involve management judgments which involve uncertainty. Secondly, we are conducting audit that management has the responsibility for preparation of financial statements and also for the internal controls. Now the internal controls itself have their limitations, so we do not know that the internal controls are operating effectively or not. Okay, yes sir. Timeliness of financial reporting and decreases relevance of information over time, because the relevance of information decreases over the time and we cannot verify each and every matter. So we need to maintain a balance between the reliability of information and the cost of obtaining the information. Next is fourth is future events. There may be any adverse or negative events which may seriously affect the entity's ability to continue as going concern. Okay, yes sir, and we cannot know about it because we are not astrologer. Yes sir, yes. Next, nature of audit procedures, that because in the audit itself there are practical and legal limitation. What is a practical limitation, sir? We do sampling, we do not do all the test the transaction. It may happen that the sample is correct but all the transaction is wrong. It may happen that the sample is wrong but all the transaction is correct, but our conclusion will be wrong because sample is wrong. Okay, yes sir. Secondly, what is the legal limitation? That there can be a situation that management does not provide us any complete information that is requested, but we cannot force the management. We can only mention in our auditor's report that management has not provided this information. We cannot do anything beyond that. Okay, yes sir. And lastly, it is not investigation. Audit is not an investigation. Okay, yes sir. Next topic, important topic, is professional skepticism, that we need to maintain professional skepticism. What is professional skepticism, sir? It is your attitude. You have to maintain an attitude. What kind of attitude, sir? You have to maintain a questioning mind. You should question everything and anything that you hear from the management, that you inquire from the management. Every evidence, you have to do a critical assessment of all the evidences, and you need to be alert to any of the conditions that may indicate possible misstatements. There can be situation there you may think that there is a possible misstatement. You need to be alert to those conditions. If you are doing everything, then you will be called that you are maintaining professional skepticism. Now, which are those conditions which we need to be alert to? First of all, there is any contradicting audit evidence. There may be a possible misstatement. Secondly, this is the evidence. This is the evidence. They are contradicting. There is a document in both the evidence, and these are also contradicting. Means I have the question on the reliability of documents, whether the documents can be relied or not. If these two are the situations, then there is a high possibility that there is a possible fraud. And if there is a possible fraud, then I need to perform procedures that are other than in addition to those required by the essays. And if these four conditions are there, then we can say that there is a possible misstatement. Okay, and we need to be alert to those conditions. Okay, yes sir. Now, if why we need to maintain professional skepticism, sir? We need to maintain professional skepticism so that we can reduce the risk. Which risk, sir? Over in. What risk, sir? Overlooking unusual circumstances. What is overlooking? Ignoring unusual circumstances. There are some transactions which are unusual, but since you are not maintaining professional skepticism, you are just ignoring those transactions. So you will have to maintain professional skepticism so that you can reduce the risk of overlooking unusual transaction. Next, over generalizing conclusion. You thought, okay, last year this was that, so this year also this will be this only. So this is the over generalizing your conclusion without maintaining professional skepticism. And lastly, inappropriate assumptions. When you are determining the NTE of audit procedures, NTE what? NTE, nature, timing and extent of audit procedures, you are using inappropriate assumptions. That is the case. If you want to reduce the risk of all these three, then you will have to maintain professional skepticism. Let's discuss from our concept book what it says, sir. Professional skepticism is what? Attitude that includes a questioning mind. You have to three things here. Look at here, three things: questioning mind, alert to conditions which may indicate possible fraud, and critical assessment of audit evidence. Now, professional skepticism means alert to which conditions are? First of all, there is evidence that contradict other audit evidence. Secondly, you have gotten information that question the reliability of documents. Third, you know the conditions that there is possible fraud. And fourth, there are circumstances that suggest that you need to perform procedures other than those required by essays as well. Okay, yes sir. Now, why need to maintain professional skepticism? So that we can reduce the risk. Which risk, sir? Over in. What is over in? First of all, overlooking unusual circumstances. Second, over generalizing when drawing the conclusion. And third, using inappropriate assumptions when we are determining the NTE of audit procedures. NTE of audit procedures, that is nature, timing and extent of audit procedure. Which audit procedure, when audit procedure, and how much audit procedure. That is NTE of audit procedure. Now, auditor, okay, sir, why need to maintain professional skepticism? Why to question everything, sir? I have been doing audit for 3 years now. I know the management has integrity. I know the management is honest. Still, then I will have to maintain professional skepticism. So ICI says that auditor shall not disregard, auditor shall not avoid, auditor shall not ignore any past experience of honesty and integrity of entities management DCWG. But still, you will have to maintain professional skepticism. Okay, yes, sir. This was your SA 200. Now let's discuss your SA 210. SA 210 talks about agreeing terms of audit engagement. You don't have to do anything other than this. I am telling you, don't have to do anything other than these essays, these content. Okay, yes, sir. So SA 200 talks about agreeing terms of audit engagement. Now, what does it mean, sir? When we are accepting any audit, we need to first agree the terms of the audit engagement, and then we need to accept the audit, so that to avoid any misunderstanding. So before accepting the audit, we have to check some preconditions for audit. As the name suggests, these are conditions which are before the audit. Before accepting the audit, I need to check whether these conditions are present or not. That's why they are called preconditions for audit, whether they are present. Now, what are the preconditions for audit? First of all, the FRF that you are using in financial statements for preparing the financial statements should be acceptable, so that the FRF is acceptable or not. Secondly, management should understand. We need to obtain agreement of the management that management understands and acknowledges its responsibility. What is management responsibility, sir? First of all, to prepare financial statement as per FRF. Yes, we are the auditor. We need to check whether management has prepared the financial statements as per FRF or not. But preparing the financial statements as per FRF is management's responsibility. Okay, yes, sir. First is this. Secondly, financial statements will not be prepared in correct manner if internal controls are weak. So to maintain those internal controls so that financial statement doesn't contain any material misstatement is the responsibility of management. And third, you just don't have to maintain, you have to provide to auditor as well. To provide the auditor, what do we need to provide to auditor? What is sir? First of all, access to all the information relevant to the financial statement. Anything that is known to the management relevant to the financial statement need to be provided to the auditor. Secondly, any additional information that the auditor may request need to be provided to the auditor. Okay, management is providing the information, I cannot trust the management. So third, unrestricted access to any of the person which the auditor may desire to obtain audit evidence. You need to provide unrestricted access. You cannot question an auditor. If he wants to meet anyone in the organization, he should be unrestricted meeting with that particular person. Okay, yes, sir. These are the responsibilities of management. I have to take an agreement from the management that management understand these responsibilities and will be fulfilling these responsibilities. Okay, yes, sir. Then we can say that yes, preconditions are present. Okay, yes, sir. Now, what if? Okay, so let's first discuss from this our concept book. So precondition for audit, what we have to determine whether it is present or not. What are the preconditions, sir? First of all, we have to determine whether the FRF is acceptable or not. Secondly, we have to obtain agreement of management that it understands and acknowledges its responsibility. What is the responsibility of management, sir? For preparation of financial statements as per FRF, for such internal control that the financial statements are free from material misstatements, and to provide the auditor with What is sir? AAU, access to all the information that the audit management is aware for the that is relevant to the financial statements. Secondly, additional information that the auditor may request. And third, unrestricted access to person within the organization. Okay, yes, sir. Now this was a precondition. I think that the precondition is present. Now what to do, sir? Now we will give an engagement letter. So first of all, what happens? What is the process of auditor's appointment? First of all, auditor is appointed by the shareholders in the AGM. In the AGM, the shareholders appoint the auditor. Okay, yes, sir. Secondly, after appointment, the TCWG sends an appointment letter to the auditor for acceptance. Now the auditor does all the procedures and check the preconditions and does all the acceptance and continuance procedures which we discussed in SQC1 and SA 220. They does all the procedures and then decide, okay, I want to accept this client. Then the auditor sends accepts the appointment letter, and while accepting the appointment letter, the auditor sends an engagement letter to the client. This is your MCQ, that the engagement letter is sent by the auditor to the client. In the engagement letter, we mention all of our terms. Why it is done? Why is it done, sir? Because to avoid any misunderstanding in future, so that the client knows about his responsibilities and everything that we want to say. Okay, yes, sir. This is the process of appointing the auditor. Okay, yes, sir. Now, what are the terms that we need to discuss in the engagement letter? What are the terms that we need to fix in the engagement letter? First of all, I will tell about my responsibility. What is auditor's responsibility? What is auditor's responsibility, sir? To maintain objective and scope of audit. And secondly, obviously, last responsibility is to issue an auditor's report. So we will in the terms of the engagement letter, in the starting of the audit itself, we will give you the expected form and content of our audit report, expected format, and what will be the expected content in our audit report. We will give that. But sir, there can be a situation now that we need to include modified opinion. What if we need to modify our opinion? We cannot include in the expected form. We will get to know after completing the audit now. So they are saying that you need to give the expected form and content, and you need to mention a statement that there may be situations where the actual report might differ from the expected form and content as well. You can give that statement as well. Okay, yes sir. So this was auditor's responsibility. Now we will have to mention management's responsibility as well in the engagement letter. What is the management responsibility, sir? He needs to identify the AFRF used in the preparation of financial statements. Okay, yes sir. These 5 terms are mentioned in your audit engagement letter. Okay, yes sir. Let's discuss from here. It says that the agreement on audit engagement term, audit engagement letter is issued sent by the auditor to his client to avoid any misunderstanding. There are 5 things that are included here. Look at here. There are 5 things that are included in your engagement letter. First of all, responsibilities of auditor. What is the responsibility, objective and scope of audit? And secondly, reference to expected format and content of report to be issued by the auditor, with a statement that there may be circumstances in which this report may differ from expected form and content. Secondly, what we have to mention, the responsibilities of management plus the identification of AFRF for financial statement preparation. Now, if there is any law and regulation that prescribes these terms of engagement in detail, then we need not to mention these terms in our engagement letter. What did I tell you? If there is a law and regulation which is applicable on the entity, and if the law and regulation only specifies that there should be the terms of audit engagement should be this, then we need to not mention these terms again in our audit engagement letter and send to the client. But we need to ensure that these laws and regulation are applicable to this entity, and management acknowledges its responsibilities for the for everything that is the management responsibility that is given in this particular section. Okay, yes sir. This was your audit engagement term. Now what if when I am going for checking the preconditions, there is no precondition present? I feel that the financial statements are not prepared as per AFRF, or maybe there is no internal control. What if this is the situation? Then we need to discuss with the management. First of all, discuss with the management, and then do not accept. If the discussion went wrong and if you think there is no precondition present, then do not accept the audit. Otherwise, unless if it is required by law and regulation, if law and regulation in whole CA final audit, if law and regulation says something, then we will follow law and regulation. Law and regulation overrides your provisions. So if law and regulation says that you need to accept the audit, then you need to accept the audit. Otherwise, you don't accept the audit. Okay, yes sir. Secondly, suppose in the terms of the audit engagement, the management mentions that they need to put a limitation on scope. They say that you cannot check inventory, you cannot check trade receivables, and because of the limitation on scope, you think that you will need to issue disclaimer of opinion. What is disclaimer of opinion, sir? When we do not get sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, and we think that the possible effects of the misstatement can be both material and pervasive, then we issue a disclaimer of opinion. Now, before starting the audit, before accepting the engagement, I am thinking that I will need to issue a disclaimer of opinion. If I accept this engagement, then should I accept this engagement? No, I should not accept this engagement. Therefore, the auditor shall not accept a limited engagement, obviously, unless required by law and regulation. If law and regulation says, then you will have to accept it. Now let's come to another topic, that is acceptance of change in terms. After the change, after the terms of engagement decided, I have started doing the audit, but management comes to me, the entity comes to me and ask for a change in terms of engagement. Now, why will entity ask me for a change in terms of engagement? For 3 reasons. First of all, there can be a change in circumstances. Previously, audit was required, but now review is required. So management is saying me to do review. Second, there was a misunderstanding about audit. Management thought that audit is just a fewer procedures, but they didn't know that audit is a detailed procedure. So there was a misunderstanding. And third, there can be because restriction on scope. Initially, management agreed to providing all the information, but now management wants to put a restriction on scope. They are saying that now you cannot check inventory. So that's why management wants to change in terms of engagement. Now, if management is requesting for changing terms of engagement, then we will have to check whether there is any reasonable justification for doing so. What is the reason, and is it justified if the management wants to change terms of engagement? If the reason is because of the change in circumstances or the misunderstanding, then it is a reasonable justification, we can change. But if the management wants to restrict our scope, if the management wants to give incomplete or incorrect information, then we cannot change we should not accept the change in terms of engagement. Okay, yes sir. Now, if if the management requests us to change to the terms of engagement, that will provide lower level of assurance. Now, what is lower level of assurance? Audit is reasonable level of assurance. Review is your limited assurance, and related services, no assurance. Now suppose the management says that don't do audit, do either review or related service. That means the management is asking us to change the terms of engagement to a lower level of assurance. Then we will have to see whether there is any reasonable justification of doing so. If yes, there is a reasonable justification, then in the new report of related review report, related services or review services, we should not include any reference to any of the procedures that is originally performed in your audit, or you should not include the reference to original engagement or any of the procedures performed in your original audit. Otherwise, except if the new engagement is agreed upon procedures, then you can include the reference to your original procedures. Okay, yes sir. What if the reasonable justification is not there? If there is no reasonable justification and you want to continue the audit but management is not allowing you to continue the audit, then there is a deadlock situation. Then we will need to withdraw from the engagement, and we will need to see whether it our obligation to report to TCWG owners, regulators about this particular situation or not. Okay, yes sir. So what we are discussing, look at here, we are discussing about the acceptance of change in terms of audit engagement. Entity may request us to change the terms of audit engagement in three situations. First of all, change in circumstances. Second, misunderstanding because of the nature of audit. And third, because they wants to put restriction on scope either by the management or caused by the circumstances. The circumstances, because of the circumstances, we cannot check inventory. So management wants to change the terms of engagement. 1 and 2 can be considered as reasonable basis for change. In contrast, if change may not be reasonable, if management wants to provide us information that is incorrect, incomplete or unsatisfactory, then we should not accept the change in terms of engagement. Okay. If before completing the audit, the auditor is requested to change to a lower level of assurance engagement, then the auditor shall determine whether there is any reasonable justification. And with this, the auditor shall also consider any legal or contractual implications of change. If there is a reasonable justification, then you can change to or review or related services. Then the report should not include reference to original engagement or any of the procedures that were performed in the original audit engagement, except in case of agreed upon procedures. Okay, yes sir. If there is non-agreement to change in terms of engagement and management is also not allowing you to continue, then you need to withdraw from the audit if possible and determine whether there is any obligation to report the circumstances to TCWG owners or regulator. Okay, yes sir. Last topic of SA 210, that is recurring audit. What is recurring audit, sir? I have done the previous year audit of this company. I am continuing doing the audit of current year in this company. Then it is called a recurring audit. Now for recurring audit, do we need to send engagement letter every time in every year? No. Except if there are any you need to revise the terms or you need to remind MTT of the existing terms, then you will need to send the engagement letter. So what are the factors or what are the situations when we need to revise the terms or remind the entity? These are the factors or the situations. First of all, when we will need to remind the entity, when we think that the management misunderstand its scope and objective of audit. Management misunderstand the scope and objective of audit. Based on past experience, I got to know that the management doesn't understand our scope and objective. Then we will need to remind the entity of the existing terms. And secondly, when we will need to revise the terms, when there is a revise the terms. When we will revise the term? When there is a change in the business or on the laws applicable on the business. Change in business means what? When there is a recent change in senior management, when there is a significant change in ownership of the business, when there is significant change in the nature or size of the business. Previously our business was of just 1,000 employees. Now our business is suddenly, in next year our business is of 10,000 employees. So in these situations, we need to change in terms of engagement. In terms of law, if there is any legal or regulatory requirement, changes in legal or regulatory requirement, the biggest legal regulatory requirement is FRF. So if there is any change in FRF or any other reporting requirements, then we will need to check if we need to remind the entity or revise the terms in case of recurring audit. Now, if there is any these situations and the management is requesting us to change the terms of engagement, then these situations are reasonable justification for change in terms of engagement, and we can accept that change in terms of engagement if these are the situations. Okay, yes sir, this was our SA 210. I hope it is very clear to you. Now let's move on to SA 230. If you are liking this revision video, then do like the video so that you mark your attendance, and that will definitely motivate me to put all the 100% detailed revision videos for you. Okay, yes sir. SA 230 talks about audit documentation. What is audit documentation, sir? It is basically a working paper in which you mention all the procedures that you have performed, all the conclusions that you have reached. That is audit documentation. Now audit documentation cannot be a substitute for entities accounting records. Entity should prepare its accounting record, and I need to prepare my audit documentation. Audit documentation should include only the final version of all the documentations and only one copy of all the final version of documentation, which means that the audit documentation should not include any superseded drafts of working papers and financial statements. So basically any draft version of working paper, any draft version of financial statement, we should not include in audit documentation. Secondly, any notes that reflect your incomplete or preliminary thinking, anything which you are thinking doing before starting the audit and you noted down there somewhere, then you should not include that in your audit documentation. Third, previous copies of documents which are corrected or for typographical or other errors. Then a previous version and then there is new version. You should only include new version, not the previous version which has some mistakes. And lastly, duplicates of document. We should only maintain one copy of document, not the duplicate 2-3 copies of a single document. Okay, yes sir, these are the 4 things that are not included in your audit documentation. Now let's talk about assembly of final audit file. So basically what happens in your audit documentation is, the final audit file is basically when you are collating or combining all the audit documentation of your individual team members of a particular audit engagement, so that there is a final audit file in which all the audit documentation is mentioned. That is called assembly of final audit file, and the process is called assembly of final audit file. Now this process of assembly of final audit file, you will have to complete this process within 60 days after the date of the auditor's report. Suppose date of the auditor's report is 31st May. So 60 days means 30 days of April and 30 days of May, that is 30th May will be your last day. Sorry, 30th March. 30th March is the date of audit report. Then 30th May will be your last date of completing the assembly of final audit file. Now, this assembly of final audit file is an administrative process, which means that we cannot perform new procedures, we cannot obtain new audit evidences, we cannot conclude, we cannot draw new conclusions. We just have to perform this administrative process of assembly. But there are few changes that are allowed. What are the changes that are allowed, sir? These are administrative in nature. Suppose you have already obtained the audit evidence before the audit date of auditor's report. You have already discussed with your team members, you have just not documented the audit evidence, then you can now document the audit evidence. Secondly, if you want to sort, collate या फिर cross reference your working paper, then you can do it now. Third, if you want to delete any superseded documentation, since they are not included in audit documentation, then you can delete the superseded draft working documentation as well. And lastly, if you want to sign off on the completion checklist of final assembly process, then you can sign off as well. Okay, yes sir, these are the 4 changes that are allowed, or any other changes which are administrative nature, they are allowed during the assembly of final audit file. Now, after the final audit file is assembled, you cannot make changes in final audit file, and you will have to retain the final audit file for 7 years, at least 7 years. Now, from which dates are 7 years? From the date of your auditor's report, or if you are the subsidiary and there is a parent, and then there is a consolidated financial statements, and then there is an auditor of consolidated financial statements, and then there is a group auditor's report that is issued by that auditor, then the date of that group auditor's report, whichever is later, out of the 2 dates, whichever is later, we will count 7 years from then, and from till the 7 years you will have to retain the final audit file. Okay, yes sir. What if, sir, there are 2 audit report? I have prepared the 2 audit report on the same subject matter, that is on the same financial statements. I have prepared 2 audit report, one for standalone and one for group. Then individually, separately, the limit of 7 years will apply on both the audit report. Okay, yes sir. There is this MCQ that the date of audit report is 21st August, and there are some changes made through the audit documentation during this, after this period. Then what is the time limit for assembly of final audit file? Then obviously the time limit is plus 60 days from your audit report. 21st August, 10 days of more August, 31st August, 31 days are in there in August. So 10 days of August, 30 days of your September, and 20 days of your October. So 20 October will be your date for final audit file assembly. Okay, yes sir, let's discuss this assembly of final audit file. It says that we need to complete the assembly of final audit file on a timely basis. What is the timely basis, sir? Within 60 days after the date of auditor's report, and this is an administrative process. We cannot perform new audit procedures or draw new conclusions. Look at here. Yes, changes may be made if they are administrative in nature. What are the changes, sir? 4 changes can be made. First of all, if you want to document the audit evidence which you have already obtained and discussed with that engagement team partner, engagement team before the auditor's report date, then you can document. Secondly, if sorting, collating, cross-referencing working paper. Thirdly, signing of the completion checklist. And lastly, deleting or discarding any superseded documentation. Now, SQC1, here SQC1 says that we need to retain the audit documentation for 7 years from the date of auditor's report or group auditor's report, whichever is later. Okay, yes sir. And if there are 2 or more different reports which are issued on the same subject matter, same financial statements, then the limit will apply separately on each of the auditor's report. Okay, yes sir. And then there is one line that is mentioned in SQC1 that we need to maintain confidentiality, safe custody, integrity, accessibility, and retrievability of document as well. Okay, yes sir. Now let's talk about the ownership of documentation. This can come in your MCQ, that the audit documentation is the property of the firm. It is the ownership of the firm. Audit documentation is the property of the firm. If the firm wants, then at its discretion, the firm can make the excerpts of audit documentation available to client. lekin, but you will have to so sorry for leaking, but yeah, you will have to consider that it does not undermine the validity of the work performed or independence in case of assurance engagement. So okay, so client, so there I am auditing this company, and I audited this company previously. Okay, I'm not auditing the company currently, and the company asked me, oh, you are our previous auditor, you had all our trade secrets, you have all our evidences, you have all our everything, then please return your audit documentation to us. We cannot have you have all the information now, since you are not our auditor now. So can the company ask my audit documentation back from me after 1 year? No sir, company cannot ask me back, because company is not the owner of the audit documentation, the firm is the owner of the audit documentation. Okay, yes sir, this is the same thing that is written over here, that SQC1 provides that unless otherwise specified by law and regulation, if law and regulation says that the audit documentation is a property of the company, then it is a property of the company, because law and regulation says law and regulation will be obviously overriding our provisions. So documentation is property of the firm. Firm may, if it at its discretion, at its will, if the firm wants to make extracts of audit documentation available to client, then it can do so, but you should also ensure that it does not undermine the validity of work performed, or your independence does not affect your independence. Okay, yes sir. Last point is that we need to maintain a completion memorandum or an audit documentation summary. So suppose in large audit engagements, when we are reviewing the final audit file, we have to review everything, we will have to review all the audit documentation prepared by all the team members. But if we want to do an effective and efficient review, then it is better that we prepare an audit documentation summary or a completion memorandum, in which we will mention what were the significant matters that we identified during the audit engagement, and how we addressed those significant matters, so that if they want to review, they can quickly review the audit documentation summary. Okay, yes sir. And lastly, there is the documentation should not be near the date of auditor's report. The documentation should be simultaneously with the when the procedures are performed, you should document, and after the date of audit report, you should assemble the final audit file. Okay, yes sir. So it says that completion memorandum or audit documentation summary can be prepared, which describes your significant matter which you identified and how they were addressed. This will ensure effective and efficient review and inspection of audit documentation, particularly in case of large and complex audit. This was our essay 200, 210 and 230. I hope it is these are crystal clear to you. Lastly, I just want to say that since the auditor document every detail, we as a student should document every mistake that we do in our mock tests, and anything that we do. If we are finding any mistake, we should maintain a register, we should mention all our mistakes, so that we do not make these mistakes in ICAM exams. Okay, yes sir. So I hope everything is clear. Do like this video to mark your attendance, and do comment down CA with your name, so that you make a manifestation that you are definitely going to clear your CA final exams. See you in the next revision video. Till then, this time we will get exemption in audit. Please keep me in your prayers. Thank you. Bye bye.